Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Joining us on the line now is Louise Dearman. She's a British actress and singer, perhaps best known for playing Glinda and Elphaba on the West End in Wicked. She's the only actress to have played both roles in any production of Wicked full time. Louise and a group of professional singers called Singer Inc. have a new album out called Trinity, Singers Inc. Volume 3, which is a collection of 12 iconic songs reimagined. Louise has recorded the Duran Duran classic Ordinary World. Welcome to the show, Louise.
Hello, good to meet you.
It's lovely to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us. And how amazing to have played both Glinda and Elphaba in the West End.
I know. It's pretty cool. I think sometimes I forget that it happened at all. It's just really bizarre. But it was, I went into the show for the first time in 2010 as Glinda, and I stayed in the show for 2 years because I just loved it so much. You just want to, when you finally get those roles, you want to cling on to them. And then I decided to have a bit of a break from it and record an album and do some concerts. And then I was invited back to play Elphaba, which had never been done at the time and has never been done since. So I feel like the luckiest girl ever.
Oh, that's really amazing. And the characters are obviously really quite different. How did you find playing both of them?
I mean, they are wildly different, but that's what makes the whole story so wonderful about, accepting your own flaws and your differences and other people's differences. And it's just such a beautiful story. It's so much more than just the Green Witch and the White Witch. Both of these young women change so much throughout the story. Glinda's obviously, she's a really fun character to play because she doesn't know it, but she comes out with the funniest things. But she changes a lot throughout the show. And Elphaba is just an absolute powerhouse. I mean, I loved the physical transformation into Elphaba. I used to really love that. They're both epic roles. And so, vocally, they're very different as well. So it was a real test of my technique and looking after myself in a different way with playing both the different characters. Elphaba in particular is so physically and vocally demanding compared to Glinda, but they're both tough but wonderful. It's a small price to pay. Go home every night and not go out partying. It was very much looking after yourself.
Oh, definitely. Well, I was going to say, I think so many people take for granted when going to the theatre, particularly in a professional theatre, like in the West End, and not really think that that you guys are performing night after night after night and don't have much of a social life at all. I mean, what's that like?
Do you know what? I think there are some people who can go out partying and still deliver, and there are others who just can't. And I've never been one of those people. Also, I think I don't take myself very seriously, but I take my profession very seriously. So I want to go out there and deliver every night. And so I know for me, it's always been with these big roles, a case of get yourself home, steam your voice, get lots of sleep. And then really, as boring as it sounds, the whole day, the next day until you do the next show is spent prepping for your next show. It's crazy, really. But like I said earlier, I just think that's a small price to pay to, have the honour of playing these brilliant roles.
Yeah, I suppose that's the dream. If you're working in theatre, the whole idea is you're going to auditions. You want to get these big roles. So when if you are lucky enough to get them, you need to look after yourself and acknowledge the fact that you're in a great position to be there.
Absolutely, and do you know what? There are just so many people doing it and wanting to do it. There are just tons of us out there. So I do think there is an element of, prove your worth, show the producers, the directors, the choreographers that you are capable and that you will look after yourself and you will be on that stage as much as humanly possible. So we are human beings. So of course, sometimes we can't go on stage. And we don't want to. We don't want to go on and deliver a bad show for people who've spent their hard-earned cash on these very expensive tickets as they are these days. So I just think I love what I do, and I look after my voice because it's precious. It's pays my bills.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you first started out, was the dream always musical theatre or different types of acting?
Well, growing up, it was, I think, like many young singers, it was the pop icons that I would listen to and who inspired me. It was, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, it's all those pop artists. And then a little bit later, Kylie Minogue and Madonna. And so I spent lots of my late teens and early 20s in recording studios writing pop music. Of course, I went to college to train in musical theatre when I was 16. So I was well on my way to loving musical theatre. But yeah, getting me into singing and wanting to be on the stage and sing live was definitely the big pop icons of the 80s and 90s.
Because not everybody who can sing both. Some people will have a real sort of musical theatre voice and others a poppy voice. So it's quite good that you can do both.
Yeah, and I think that's because I grew up listening to so much pop music, and in my household, lots of the pop music of the 80s and Motown and soul. And I loved singing it all. And I'm a bit of a mimic as well. I'm really fascinated by tones and voices and different styles and genres. So if someone said to me, what's my favorite style of singing? I just wouldn't know, because it honestly depends how I wake up that morning and what I want to listen to. I'll listen to jazz, to classic FM. I'll listen to R&B and hip hop, if you believe it. I'll listen to musical theatre. There's so much music that I really, really love.
Yeah. And I imagine that the being in the West End or musical theatre in general is really competitive, as you say. There's a lot of people going after the same roles and the same shows. The fact that you've had big roles in the past, does that give you any sort of advantage, or are you in the same boat as everyone else when you go to an audition?
Well, it does. It certainly gives you an advantage, but there's also pressure that comes along with that. So, and an expectation, really, because you walk into a room, and very often if there's a director that you've worked with before, they know what you're capable of and they'll call you in, and you want to do a good job and you want to show them that you are able to take on this new role. But you do naturally feel like you're almost going back to square one every time you finish one contract, and then you go all the way back to auditioning again. And of course, these days, it's not just people who've trained in musical theatre. There are people from, all different backgrounds that come in to play roles in musical theatre. So we also have, that to work around. And I just think as long as somebody is right for the role, I don't care if they've trained, I don't care what their background is. I think as long as they've got the talent to do it, absolutely go for it, because there is still room for us all. It's just it's a tough and, like you say, a very competitive industry. It just is. There's no getting around that. Yeah.
And sometimes I suppose it can be a bit of a draw when it's a celebrity name, as long as they can Sam Ryder's doing amazing at the moment, apparently. In Jesus
I'd
Christ
love to
Superstar.
see that.
Yeah, friends of mine have seen it.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And that's a great example of it. Doesn't mean that you have to have done 3 years at drama college to be able to do it. It's I know that I don't know Sam, but I know from other people who do know him, he's a very dedicated performer. He does look after himself. He is incredibly grateful for these opportunities and doesn't take that lightly, from what I've heard and seen in interviews. So I just think, good luck to him, and I wish I could get to see it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Oh, and it must be difficult to get time off. I mean, if you get a role in a show, I'm assuming it doesn't go down well to go, oh, by the way, can I have a holiday in a few weeks' time, and start marking out time off? How does that work?
Not that that's all we're immediately thinking of, but
no, of course not.
I mean, you do get your holiday. You get a certain amount of holiday. But for me, I had my little girl nearly 9 years ago, and I made the decision then that I didn't want to do a long contract in a musical until I was ready. And so I was fortunate enough to have already started down the road of having a concert career and performing with orchestras all over the world. And so that for me gave me so much of a better work-life balance. So I could be off for a couple of days doing concerts or even one-nighters, really wonderful work with fantastic musicians and conductors in wonderful theatres and venues all around the world. And then I could get to come home and be home for maybe a week or more with my little girl and with my family. So that's been really great. And it's only really now that I am dipping my toe back into the world of musical theatre and saying, I think we're all ready for me to be able to do that now.
Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, it's so the holiday for me, I have to try and mark it out, but you have to take the work when it comes. You just have to. When you're a self-employed singer and actor, it is tough.
Yeah. So before we talk about the song and the album, which we're going to do, one more question on Wicked. I wonder if your paths crossed with a friend of mine who used to work on this radio station. Mark Curry played the Wizard for many years.
Yes. I didn't do it. I didn't do it with Mark, but of course I know Mark Curry.
Yeah.
Was he? I think he was before me. I might be wrong. But no, not when I was in it. But yes, of course I know of Mark.
Yeah. Small
Honestly,
world.
I feel like there's lots of, because I was in the show for 3 years in total, there's lots of different casts, especially with the leading roles that have come in and out. I think there's about 5 different Fieros. But yeah, it's like when you hear the names of people who've been in Wicked, it does feel like you have to think if you were in it with them or not, because it does feel like one big family. It really does.
Oh, that's so nice. So how did this Singers Inc. come about?
Yes. Well, my dear friend Chris Minot is the creator and founder of Singers Inc. And it all began with some lovely events. He just pulls together some of the greatest vocalists and does some really cool events that went on to become a management, and he does lots of productions and albums and recordings, lots of incredible work. And I've known him for many, many years, and I can't take credit for any of this, for coming up with this song or any of those things. He just called me and said, we're going to do a Singers Inc. Album, Trinity, Volume 3. You have to be on this one. And he said, and I've had a brilliant idea. And it blows my mind how he picks up these songs, Duran Duran. Who would have thought that I would be singing a Duran Duran song? Like, how does he hear that in his head? How does he think, I know whose voice would work well with this, Lou's? But he said, I just want you to listen to it. I just want you to have a listen to the production that we've put on it and see what you think. And instantly, that music starts, and it just sucked me straight back to my childhood, honestly. And when I told my parents I was going to be doing a Duran Duran song, they were absolutely thrilled. So it was a joy to record it, because I'm always asked to belt out these huge theatre songs, which I love. But just to do something so beautiful, so mellow, the lyrics are wonderful. The story behind it is really heartbreaking and heartwarming. And and we did a music video with it as well, which was super cool to do because I'd never done that before.
Oh, amazing.
And I also recorded The Scientist on the album as well by Coldplay. So a couple of cracking songs on there.
Yeah. What's the story behind Ordinary World?
Well, it was one of their friends who had passed away, sadly. Oh. And it's about being able to continue on with your life. When you're grieving and you're looking around and life is going on and you're still stuck in that grief. So if you, now knowing that, go back and listen to the lyrics of the song, it really does give it a whole new meaning, because we're used to it just being this really cool, mellow song, and actually it's about so much more than that. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing that they can perform it, the fact that it has that resonance for them.
Personal connection, yeah.
Definitely. I was really lucky to see them last year. They were here in Marbella.
Really?
Yeah. And I went to see them and they were absolutely fantastic. My goodness. What a performer Simon Le Bon is.
Yeah, I'd love to see them. Maybe they'll hear my cover at some point.
Yes. And they'll just get in touch with you. Hey, Louise.
You never know. Listen, you never know. Wilder things have happened.
Yes, definitely. Well, we've got the song to play here, so if people are thinking, I must listen to the lyrics next time, now is their chance. And the album, which is called Trinity, Singers Inc. Volume 3, is available on our website in the jukebox, so people can go to TRE.radio and they can get the album from there. Louise Dearman, thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to chat with you.
Thanks for having me on. Take care.